Hey everybody, finally going. Had a little bit of fun stuff today. We were lots of stuff going live. We had Jamie's new, from Foster the Meeple's new solo mode, which is a good, although she messed something up, was a great playthrough actually of Harvest, and it looks, Nikki and I were excited about it when we saw it at Gen Con, so we're hoping to get a copy to maybe do it on the show. Looked interesting. We are not sure about Thursday, probably not going to stream because we will be filming, although one of the folks is not going to be able to make it, so we're trying to fill it in with somebody. Hopefully we'll find someone. It's better, I like it better with 4. I don't know why. It does make things go longer sometimes, but you know, for me, I really have fun with it. Hey, David, you made it on for a moment. I did finish the, I didn't finish it. I did finish the, let's cut to it. Actually, I got to switch cameras. Actually, not cameras, but overlays. There we go. I worked on him after I was done. Come on, focus. Is it going to focus? Wow. Did I miss something up here? Probably bumped something on the camera. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know what I did. I did move the camera though, so I don't know what I would have hit. Let's see here. Wow, I don't know. Did I hit something on the lens? Wow, this shows you how much I use this camera. Weird. What did I hit? I moved it around a little bit, so that was what I was really doing before I got started, was trying to get everything in the best position possible. And the reason why I use this camera is it's a fast focus, but if it isn't going to focus today, I don't know. What is it in? Oh, it's in spot focus right now. How do I do that? There we go. It was somehow in a mode, I think, there to do stuff. Well, there you go. Fun stuff. Technology behind the stuff. Anyway, let's see if it does it. Yes, it does. It is fast. I finished it up mostly. I just need to varnish it now. I think it turned out pretty neat, considering how hard it is to do the webbing. I really actually appreciate this mini. It was probably the hardest one I've done because of that. I mean, Spider-Gwen, or whatever they call it in the set, was challenging too, because the webbing inside the her hood and stuff like that was hard to do. But this one was, it's not perfect by any stretch, but it turned out pretty nice. His face is actually pretty great. Thanks, David. Phasing power. This is stuff I don't know about these characters. That's what's pretty funny about it for me. It is hilarious how this does not... I'm using this handle. I use this handle when I varnish. I also painted the base the other day, and I did that on camera, so I think I got it all the way. I think this was done when we filmed when I streamed on Thursday. I know I went in and did a little bit more, but not really. I might have gone in and actually worked on more of the orange highlights for the red. I guess I'll paint it. I did notice like this bit here. This is like an injection point, or a not necessarily an injection point, might be a relief point. But I was terrible at finishing those. Wow, it is hot in here. Let me go turn on the air conditioning. I thought I was doing a good job. So what I did this weekend is I actually painted about 30 minis. I primed them, trying to get caught up here. I want to get done with the first phase of stuff, and I'm really gonna, I'm going to be painting 3 of each mini, starting with X-Men stuff. I will be painting some of these others that we haven't for Scott. He hasn't. We did not send it. We were going to send it with me, or ahead of me, when we went to before Gen Con, but we just did not have time. I really wish we did, because I would like to be getting them all done. But now the good thing is Scott painted a lot of his minis, so I don't have as much to do for the first ones. And then hopefully that'll be. I mean, I'll have fun with it. So as I said, I primed about 30. Is that right? Let me look. I think I had 14 more of my own to paint. I did actually put them all away for the most part. So this is my, now if you'll notice, those two do not look alike. The hair's slightly darker, but I think we'll see what it needs to be. But I did several coats of the white highlight to try to get it to be bright enough, and I'm not 100% certain. I mean, I'm not really sure. There might be better choices. I'm using white primer. I've had better luck with it, so I'm not really sure what the story is, but this time they'll all be semi-close to each other as far as, too much stuff in the background, as far as the highlighting. So I'll get to see how accurate I can do on them. I mean, I have there's a bunch of them here. But I need to get to, I need to figure out which one I want to do. I don't know all these characters. I am absolutely eager to do Nebula. I've already painted her once for Scott. But yeah, this is like towards the end of the stuff for me. I don't know. Do I want to paint her? Maybe I'll paint gosh, what is her name? Miss America? No, something America. America, I don't know. Darn it. I saw that she was in, that character was in Doctor Strange Part 2. And I don't really know her. Hey, Zako, I don't really know much about her. Looks cool, though. So we'll see. I'm excited. I did have some troubles with airbrushing, so I sprayed the first day, and I sprayed for a couple hours to get them done. It was a lot of, just a lot of minis to do, and to try to get them semi-similar. And the end result was they came out pretty good. But when I went to do the second highlight to brighten it up on some of this stuff, it did not work so well. Hey, Nick, how you doing? Okay. I just turned the AC on, so it might not be so great. But yeah, I had a heck of a time getting it to stay consistently spraying. I don't know what the deal is now. It's possible that I didn't thin the airbrush primer, which shouldn't have to be thinned too much, enough for the settings that I had on the airbrush and the compressor. But I mean, I didn't change anything overnight. I did clean the airbrush though, and I know I watched a Miniac video where he was doing a painting competition with Vince Venturella, and man, it was great. Really cool to see. Some fun stuff going on there, and but he was saying he didn't. His airbrush was. Miniac was Scott was giving him crap about his airbrush being dirty, but he had said he cleaned it once and ruined the airbrush. And so I have not had that happen. I've been cleaning airbrushes forever, but I did not have it. I mean, it wasn't bubbling. I mean, it did. It actually did like clog up at one point. And I have actually might have had that problem with that airbrush before, but I'm not certain. It's a Iwata, nice airbrush too, but it was weird. But anyway, it did okay. I had a few mishaps while, I mean, I was airbrushing a lot, so there was a lot of minis in the spray area, which I don't like because I'm nervous about messing up ones I've already primed. America Chavez, you got it, Zako. Thank you so much. I really loved that character. I think that will be cool to paint her. Those must be hoop earrings, since they're not over her ears. Let's go find her. I was thinking about doing Shang-Chi, but I I'll do that one too. I mean, soon. I'm excited because, you know, these are darker skin tones, which I actually prefer painting. America Chavez, I have one photo. I guess they didn't do more. I mean, the first era of this was, oh wow, she has stars painted on her leggings. We shall see if I can pull that off. Man, she looks cool though. Very cool. So the mini doesn't look the same entirely as, that's close, the 3D printed model. Interesting. Oh, that's cool. Let's see what we can do here. She does have gold earrings. So I will start with the face. That is usually what I do, but sometimes I get too excited about something else and start painting that. Yeah, that's the bummer about the Marvel stuff, right? Everything, they've all kind of tapered everything back. So all the new younger characters are all, well, actually I'm going to do this in a minute. I'm going to varnish this one first. All the characters are, you know, on hold and getting older. So I don't even know. I don't know if they're even going to do them. You know what I mean? We already have Robert Downey Jr. back, which is interesting. It's not a bad thing. And I'm intrigued to see what they do with it. I am bummed that Kang didn't work out. I really think that Jonathan Majors is an interesting actor, and it would have been great to have him do more. But oh well. Let me check something here. It did not go up yet. So there's an issue with Jamie's video. It didn't go on the front page, and I think it's one that we forgot, because hers is once a month that would automatically go. Also looks like, I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to check, because I was doing that. That was really what I was doing before I got started. Besides messing with the camera, I was in this control room filming with stuff and frustrated with the video not going live, and you know, it's weird. I think it really comes down to time zones for me, where I have issues with the way our stuff is scheduled. You know, we have a bunch of people creating things across the United States, and it does really mess with your timing when you are scheduling. For whatever reason, like some of my stuff comes in at Central Time, which is where BGG is located, and then some are East Coast. And I looked at 9:40, and it wasn't up. So I pushed it out. I think the posts had gone out already for the social media. So I'm mixing I'm going to mix two varnishes this time. I've done it before, but I'm going to get a little bit, ease off a tiny bit on the Ultramat. I really like the Ultramat, but it's not very durable. And I've already seen minis that I have handled far too much that are starting to have the paint come off, which is really a bummer. You don't want to, you want to varnish it. Now I'm handling them a lot. I don't know that we'll, my concern of course is just storing them, like if them just moving and stuff are gonna rub off paint and stuff like that. So let's get the palette out. Let's see, I was noticing the other day that it chunked off. I think I'm gonna lose this bubble. I wonder what happened there. You can see here, it's kind of worn out. I maybe scraped it or something. I don't know though. Okay. I have done 4 and 1 with the Ultra Varnish. I think I'm going to do 3 and 2 drops. That might be a lot though, but it's probably the right mix. 1, 2, 3. I've used the satin varnish with the matte varnish as well. 1, 2, they look very different consistency. One looks like Elmer's glue. So that, I don't think I've done this mix, at least Oh, maybe I have. Maybe I've just not done it and seen it. How you doing over there, Nick? She's still not, she's got a sinus problem, man. It's been going on for a week and a half or so now. She gets sinus infections and it's terrible. Music stopped. Interesting, or maybe it's going. I think it's going, it's just quiet. Boy, there's something wrong with this Mac. I think that's just back to where I was. Huh. That may be what it's very quiet. That was maybe what was going on. Okay, so I might not even have enough varnish here, thinking that I was doing enough, but maybe not. So I'm going to use, which paintbrush should I use this time? I don't usually use my better brushes to do the varnish, because you're really just kind of poking it in there and messing stuff up. I'll try this number 1 that I have of the Royal Langnickel. I mean, you know, they're not, I don't know if they make any high-end stuff. This stuff is not high-end. The brushes are good, though, for me anyway. And so this might require me to do 2 coats, which you know, you really should coat them as much. So one of the things I plan on doing, I have a bunch of other stuff to varnish. I want to airbrush them. I was saying last week, I think, that Brent from Goobertown Hobbies did an experiment where he tried different methods of varnishing the minis and then handling them as you would in a game, you know, like touching them a lot. It was a pretty interesting and long process. And he did use Funyuns, which was fun, because I like Funyuns. I don't have them very often, but as his snack of choice that people would be handling minis with. But he did come to the conclusion that basically the best application method, at least, well, and definitely glossier the better, but his best application method was spray on. So whether it was rattle can or airbrushed, you had better and longer lasting results, which surprised me. I thought for sure that brush would be better, but maybe the brush is really kind of doing it unevenly as far as, you know, it settles more. So I don't know. And I may decide that I want like this initial coat. So if you use the matte as your first coat, matte or ultra matte, those are actually better to paint on. Those, you know, paint on too, but to put another layer of varnish over it. If you decide to do another varnish, those have enough, what they call tooth, in the paint to hold another coat. If you use a shinier varnish, it's not as good. Now, shinier varnish is going to last a long time, though. They are definitely strong. My phone is buzzing at me. I think I have some scripts to look at. So I mean, that's a good part of actually, if you're planning on doing multiple coats, do one that is, because you can't sand it, right? That's what you usually do when you put on a finish. You lightly sand it to give it adhesion for the next layer, and you can't do that with a mini, obviously. So, I guess I can paint the ground too while I'm at it. So using a matter finish will definitely allow you to easier to, you know, again, like I said, multiple coats of clear satin or gloss are going to be probably strong enough to hold on to each other, but I really think you probably should do one of the other types first. I'm really happy with the way the orange, that Magma Droth flame worked on the red. It's not, it's subtle, and you probably could build it up because they work really well as a layer or as a glaze, kind of. Glazes are usually thinner, and maybe that's why it was so strong so quick, because it's not thinned out at all. But I didn't thin it out at all anyway. I'm not really sure what the best method is for thinning the speed paint or contrast paints, or the speed paints. You know, because when you use the medium, it doesn't thin it out. It just reduces the intensity of the color, right? So no less pigment, more of the medium. So it's still the same consistency, at least in application. Thanks, Professor. The Professor and her passport. I've been, this one turned out neat. It is probably the hardest one I painted. As I was saying earlier, I also had a hard time with Gwen, Spider Gwen, but it was also, they have another name for her. And because her hoodie has like the webbing on the inside, and it was a bit of a challenge, but this one turned out turned out to be a little bit harder to do for sure. So this is a lot of varnish, man. I'm seeing a lot more pooling than I maybe would normally like, probably because it's the shape of it, you know, it's got lots of nooks and crannies and places to hold on to stuff. It's drying pretty flat, so maybe that's good. Maybe it's too thin. I mean, I did 3 to 2, so. Hey, thanks so much for the follow, Whimsical Firefly. Hope you're doing well. So I'm close. As I was saying, I varnished, I undercoated, and I did them all zenithal, about 30 minis. But personally, I only have about 14 to do for my set to be done for the first wave, which is very exciting. My real goal is to probably be done with that by next week sometime. I don't know that I'll actually make it happen 100%. It's hard to actually get the time to do this. We have some other things we need to do. But hopefully I can be done soon. And then I will continue to work on the other wave as well, the first wave for my friend, but because I'm also going to have Scott show up here probably in November. And, you know, we'll have really a brief month in October, because we will not be here a lot. We leave in September to go to Germany, and then we're back on the middle of October, and then we're here for a little bit, and then we go to Dallas for BGG Con. It's a week early. Hey Nikki, Matthew Monin's not going to be able to make it.
Why?
Because of the week that it is, it's his wife has an event that she goes to every year at that time. Wow, that is the end of that varnish.
Boo and yay, I guess.
Yeah. So I did not get enough varnish. I was worried about it. I don't think I got enough on his face there either. So I'm gonna mix up a little bit more. Unfortunately, as I say, I think 1.5 to 1 will be fine. Let's see here. I don't want to put it that way. 1.5 to 1. Hey Dim. Do you like Europe? I do. Would I ever live there? I love Europe. We have a great time going. We've been to quite a few countries. We've not been to Italy yet, which we'd like to. The VGG cruise this year was this summer was there. I really would like to do that. Would have liked to have done that. It just was not good for us, timing wise. But I mean, we have very good friends in Germany, and it would be fun to be there for at least a while. And I also really love the UK. Hey, Circe. What were you saying, Nick?
Spain.
Spain, yeah, Spain was awesome too. But Spain felt like California to me.
Well, it wouldn't be an abrupt change.
That's true.
Yes, except for the language.
It was, well, not even that bad. We have plenty of Spanish-speaking folks around here in Southern California too. So, but yeah, it was Spain was awesome. France was amazing. We did not really get out of the city in France. But we did in the UK, and Czech Republic was awesome, really amazing. And we went into Poland for a brief moment. I would have loved, there's plenty of folks we know in Poland, and would love to spend some time there, but it was just when we were actually on a trip into most of the eastern part of Germany with our friends, and we had a great time. It was really awesome. And saw some interesting stuff. It was mostly improvised, but there were some things that we wanted to see. We did go on the final night of the trip, because we had to go to Spiel. Actually, we weren't going to Spiel, though. That was a month early. So we were actually in 2022 in Germany twice in a little over a month's time. Once for an event that, so our friend's birthday was in 2020, and we were going to go for that, and then of course that didn't happen. And then, what? Oh yeah. Well, we were supposed to see Kraftwerk, and so it's 1.5 at 2. We'll see here. So when the show finally got scheduled, which was I think August of 2022, we went, and it was great. And then we went to do some travel, and that was awesome. And then we came back. So what was going on is we had a meeting with GameNight that is actually based in Essen. So we were going to Essen, but we weren't going to Spiel. And so the night before we were going to do that, and then that day we hung out. I can't remember if that's exactly how that all went out, but we went to Quedlinburg, which was really fun. Neat town, stayed in an amazing place. That's like a little hotel that is just taken over the small castle, and that was phenomenal. Have been to the Netherlands. We have been to the Netherlands. We loved Amsterdam, loved it. We've been to Sweden. No, not Sweden. Copenhagen, Denmark. I want to go to Sweden, and all of that was fantastic. I mean, we've had such fun. We used to travel with Scott Michelle for most of the before most of these events, and it was great. Got to see a lot of stuff. We love museums, so we, as Nikki was saying, in Spain we went to a tremendous amount of museums, the Prada and the Van Gogh Museum, which was neat. Oh yeah. Guernica, yes, got to see Guernica, and then we went to Amsterdam was neat too. We actually got in before Scott and Michelle on that for some reason. We're usually pretty good at timing it, so we went into town first and did a little bit of kind of reconnaissance, checking out stuff beforehand. It was great. We have some friends that live there now, but it was awesome. And so we've done a bunch. We just haven't done. We've been in Switzerland many times, but only at the airport. We would like to go. We definitely have some friends there. And one of these days we'll go. It just ends up being a challenge. Like, so this year reason why we're gonna be there for a while is our friend's 50th birthday was last year, and we did not get to come for that. So we're going early. Well, I mean, we were there, but we were. I think we spent time after the event. That's what we did. So we went and visited Annie and Sebastian after the event, and that's fine. But our friend who usually gets sick at the convention, poor guy, everybody does. I mean, it's so bad. He gets sick, so we don't usually visit him after. That's a before thing. So we're going to visit him for a few days. I think we're going to be there for his birthday, or maybe the day after. I don't know. And then we go to Spiel, and then we're going to go visit Annie and Sebastian. And because of the flights, I'll tell you, it's crazy. So we really don't want to be there forever because we have a lot of stuff, to do at home, and 3 weeks away from both of our parents is almost 3 weeks away is really tough. So but the thing was, it was so expensive to book the flight for the return part. Like, if we stayed till basically almost the 3 week mark, then it was cheaper than it was by a long shot at the cheapest rate that I could find if we only visited Annie and Sebastian for like 1 day. And we didn't want to do that. So their baby's 1.5 years old now, so we want to see her. And lots of friends in that area. So it'll be better. It's just challenging. And my mom, I've told her already, like, we're going to be a while. And then she's got a trip once we return, I think, with her sister. That's what they're planning now, which is great, because they had to cancel their previous trip this summer. And my mom's getting up there, and it's harder for her to get around. So she's kind of feeling like these are her last trips. Basically, what'll probably happen after that is her sister might come and visit her here. I mean, we're all getting older. It's kind of a drag. And Nikki's parents, they're getting older too, and Nikki's helping them out. And she's been sick, so she finally got to help them at the end of Friday last week after nearly a month. But yeah, we don't want to get our parents sick, and that's always on our minds, so. Cool, he's drying up. I'm going to wait, but I want to put another coat on hey, looks like I painted over a white dot there. On the rim. The rim is where it really, because I handle them mostly that way. It's so expensive, you can just start living there. Yeah, it's true. I wish that it's not cheap. I mean, we definitely take advantage of going to Spiel. I mean, and we are trying to decide we're going to have a booth. BGG will have a booth this year. We're just seeing, last year we had a great year. Nikki and I had a lot of meetings. We had no booth, so that was part of our focus, right? We will film stuff. We won't be live streaming, but we'll have our store there. But last year we had a lot of meetings and had some really great success. I actually need to book meetings for this year, considering it's a month away, a little over a month. So we'll do more of that, but we're just deciding whether it's worth it. It is good to go, but do we need to go every year? I mean, I want to go every year, but should we go every year? Is it expensive? It's expensive to go. The hotels are expensive. We have a pretty large group because we are collecting games. Gen Con is really a big group because we run the Hot Games Room. Man, the stuff is drying so fast here. I'll just wing it and put another coat on here on the base. But yeah, I'm eager to try Varnish. Varnish is a lot as far as spraying it. It's pretty insidious. It gets everywhere. And, you know, part of the whole point is it's locking in the paint. So what happens is like, if anything's got dirt on it or paint on it, it's very difficult to clean. It can be done. You can use alcohol or some elbow grease and water, maybe a little soap. But that's just, it's a lot, and I don't want to, I don't know, we'll see. I mean, that's one reason why I've very rarely ever, I've spray canned varnish, but I very rarely ever have sprayed. I actually tried, I had a new airbrush that I bought specifically to varnish with, and I tried it in the studio, in the shop, and I literally was choking in like 30 seconds. That's how bad that stuff is. You do not want to breathe it. I did not have I just thought, oh, I'll just check this real fast. But you know, a cloud of that stuff, and I'm like, okay, never again without a mask. And you know, I have the spray booth, so that'll help. But it was terrible. I do need to look at my Marvel United. Some friends had, now we looked at the whole darn thing on the stream. I don't feel like I think we saw what we were supposed to see.
What do you mean?
Because we looked in the big box.
Something special hidden or something?
Anthony got the wrong one. Like he got two of the same thing.
I didn't notice that.
I don't think so either. I think people would have noticed it on the stream. So I don't think we had that as either, but you never know. Boy, the inside of his mouth looks very red. It was supposed to be a dark purple. It is a long trip. But we really like it. For 1 year, we were able to take a direct trip to Dusseldorf. It was phenomenal. It was with Berlin Air, which then that year went back to being just I think it's still in business, but went back to just being a local Germany airline. They flew directly from Los Angeles to Dusseldorf. It would have been even better if they flew from Burbank to Dusseldorf, but that's pushing our luck. And that's cool. We actually liked traveling Swiss Air because they stopped in, as I say, Switzerland. They stopped in Zurich, and that was a pretty easy layover. Copenhagen is the other one we have been stopping in lately. Has it been 2 or 3 times, Nikki P? 22, 23? Nope, just 2 times, I think.
This will be the third.
Yeah. And that was awesome. You know, I don't like 4 hours layover, which is what happens sometimes. We actually have a extremely short layover on the return, so we'll see if we make it. We may be in Copenhagen for a night. And then, but they suggest, it was like suggested by we're flying SAS, and they are really kind of the most inexpensive airline for us to get to. I mean, we're coming further than most of our team. Candace is the only other one here in California that's flying out. Candace and her and Matt, her significant other. I have some varnish sitting here. Should I paint somebody? I mean, get started on somebody who needs it? I don't know. I guess I should. I don't want to be varnishing the whole time, but it's like I hate to waste it. Let's do some Jessica Jones. But yeah, our trip, one of the flights is going to be 13 hours, which, I mean, is a lot, don't get me wrong, but it's not that bad. Nikki had a worse flight. She went to China for her job one time, and that was a long trip, wasn't it? And I'm not really sure, because I flew to Japan I mean, you know, Japan. I don't know where in China. I'm sure it was semi-coastal, right? Because it was a shipping.
Coastal.
Yeah. But my Japan flight wasn't that terrible either. It was, you know, 12 hours or something, 13 hours, I think. But yeah, Eric Martin and I went to, he'd been a couple of times, but it was my first and only time to Tokyo Game Market, and it was amazing. I wanted to try to do that annually because it's a pretty amazing con. We did not stream that one year. We did film though, which was awesome. Had a lot of help with the language stuff. We have a friend, Ken Shota, who used to live in the United States but lives back in Japan, and he was one of the translators for the interviews, which was great. And then gosh, what was his name? I know his name. Jordan Draper helped as well. He was there. We also had Simon. Gosh, dang it. I know his name too, and I'm forgetting it. Anyway, he was great. He helped us out a lot. Because he helps, well, at least he was helping at Gen Con, at Spiel. He would come and be the guest on our live streams for the Japan brand booth. So all these publishers, he would do he would do 20 games in an hour's time or something like that. It was crazy. One year it was even more, I believe. We called him the Machine. Lindstrom, Simon Lindstrom. He's a good guy. So yeah, we had a lot of help. It was great. And we were so in 2020, one of the other fun almost happens. We were going to, we were thinking of live streaming. It was probably not going to be a live stream, but we were going to have a booth. That was the plan. And when, you know, all the bad news is coming, some of our team were like, I don't think I want to go. I don't want to get stuck. And I was like, we're not going, don't worry. But then I talked to the publisher and they're like, oh, but you'll come, right? I'm like, oh, I don't think so. I mean, because people were stuck in Japan. So I'm sure I probably could have gotten home, but it might have been delayed, you know, so I just didn't want to get stuck. We were nervous about that, as we didn't really know what was going on. Because I'd already traveled a bunch that year in 2020. I went to our BGG, first and only BGG retreat, where we were meeting and talking about stuff we wanted to do. And that was actually pretty awesome. And then I went to Spielwarenmesse in Germany. Then I went to, actually Nikki did none of those things. Then I went to FIJ in Cannes, the French gaming convention, and then I went to Gamma. So it was like a lot of risk taking. Ultimately, I didn't know. Scott thinks he might have gotten sick from it. I think maybe, I don't remember if it was I don't remember what this, I thought he went to visit family. I'm not sure why. But he came back and he said he was wondering if, because they didn't have easy testing anyway, although Dave tested before he left to go take care of his parents. But I didn't get COVID, so it was an interesting time, and it was really strange. It was like not knowing exactly what was happening. But yeah, we were going to do Japan, and with a more, it was just two of us the previous time, but we were going to have more of a team there, like 3 or 4 of us, sort of like the con ones, and unfortunately didn't get to do any of that. We haven't been back to con either, and I would like to go to that one, but it's run by different people, which is it's not a big deal. It's mostly the same team and all that stuff, but I'm not really sure, because Trick Track closed, and they're not streaming from there anymore. So it was, and we were like next door neighbors at the event, which was awesome. They came on our stream, and I think we went on their stream, or at least some of us did, and it was awesome. Well, that went further than I thought. Oh, I didn't do the base. That is where I'll run out of varnish. I'm going to just have this never-ending fill it up and get some varnish and then varnish something and then... I don't want to spread it too thin either because you want a coat. Good coating of it. But I will do 2 coats. I think I will be spending more time priming, cleaning the minis and priming them in larger batches so that I can make more progress. You know, I'm always like, part of my issue is like, well, do I have, this is way too thin. In my mind, I'm always thinking I want to paint the 2 minis, and if I have something that's a 1, it'll get left there because I will want to do something with it when I have more of. It's great to actually do 2 at a time. I'm really eager to do 3 at a time, but we'll see when that happens. Hopefully, as I say, by November I'll be doing that. Boy, I think I just touched the base. I did. Well, it's okay. It needs another coat anyway. Okay. Varnish, man. And it can really mess up your brush. I do find that the brush cleaner that I have, I am not going to be painting anymore right now. That does a pretty good job of getting the stuff off. It's got a bit of a grit to it. This is the very end of this bottle. I think this is the very first bottle of this stuff I bought many, many years ago. It lasts a long time. But what I'm doing is like pulling it away from as much as I can from the ferrule. Hey, thanks for the follow. Nafreyu Denny, how you doing? But yeah, I feel that, so what I do is I clean it in the palm of my hand, always drawing down the bristles. So I'm spinning it around, trying to get as much off of from the ferrule, which is the metal part. So this is varnish, so it's different, but it's also, it dries pretty solidly if you don't get it off quickly. And then what I do is I leave a little bit on the brush. Now this one is not a great brush, but it does okay for the point. So I still want it to have the point, so I leave a little bit of the soap in there and then let it dry. And then I will, then you just rinse it with water when you're ready to paint again. Poster Tech. One of these is fresher than the other. So I think this is the one. I think these are basically dying. They're starting to they've got too much paint in them and stuff like that. This might even be quake hold. So I do have a fresh tube. I do not know how long ago I got this one, but it does have a barcode on it. But this is, I think I've used this twice. And you know, it's misleading. There's a good half an inch or more gap between the bottom of this, and the newer ones are shallower, so they've gotten over this, let's make it look like there's a whole bunch of this stuff in here. But the reality is it lasts a long time, so it doesn't really matter. I also have this handmade stuff from Monument that I've used a couple times as well. It seems pretty good. It does not have as much of like the grittiness of the soap that I kind of like of the Master's brush. But I bet you this is better for conditioning it. So I watched Miniac had a video at their facility, and there was a shot of them making that brush making stuff. It's called Gentastic's Drunken Brush Goop. So there you go. Gentastic. Let's see here. Well, I guess we'll get into America. Come on, America. The problem is why I'm afraid of those leggings. Well, those will be the last thing I do. I would be fun to put them on there. There are a lot of stars on here, though. So her hair is a dark brown. Her face is pretty darn dark brown, too, on here, too. But we'll probably build up to it. She does have some fingerless gloves, so I'm going to need to remember to paint that. It does not look like she has a collar. I mean, like you would see the nape of her neck, you know, just a little bit. So it's like she's got a hoodie on. That's cool. And then there's a little bit of the hood. Shows her coming out of this stuff is all blue. Boy, it looks like they changed it. Nah, it might be the same. You know, because what we're looking at is when they make these, they are 3D printed prior to the campaign, and then they paint them during, or at least they release the painted paint jobs. Not everything's painted, because as with the DC United one, DC Superheroes or DC Heroes United, whatever they're calling it, that one had a good half of the minis, if not more, unpainted before the end of it. No, they were doing pretty great, but you know, there's a lot of stretch goals and stuff like that. So my favorite flesh tone for humans, for the most part, is that's not it, Gorgonta fur. That's probably going to be her hair. Is it on the very left? I never get this right. It is on the very left. So there's my favorite flesh tone. And it is amazing because it didn't get to hear your thoughts on Kang Pivot to Doom. Yeah, I was just talking about that a little bit. I'm sad that Kang is not going to be happening. I thought Jonathan Majors did a good job. You know, there are some things, of course, that are not great about it, but it's not bad. This is Circe asking this on both, not asking on both questions, but they're logged in on both chats on YouTube and on Twitch. I'm excited. It'll be fine. I mean, hopefully they'll do a good job. I was just saying earlier that I'm sad to see like all these younger characters not happening yet. And I know that it's not Thunderbirds. There'll be some of that, maybe some of those characters, maybe. I really don't know exactly what's happening on that. God, it's not Thunderbirds. But yeah, so we'll see how. I mean, I like Robert Downey Jr. I thought he did a great job, and I'm intrigued to see what they might do with it. I don't really worry too much about canon because I just don't know about that stuff. But I do want to see it. And so we'll see. A couple years from now, there'll be another Avengers. Which I was hoping that they would do the Young Avengers. I mean, maybe they still will. I should look real briefly here, see what they say on that. And I can actually look up the name of the movie. It's got an asterisk at the end, I think, so that I do know. It's not Thunderbirds, it's not Thundercats. It's not that. Dang it. It has, gosh, who's in it? David Harbour? So I can find it from there. I liked him in the Thunderbolts with an exclamation, with an asterisk. Thunderbolts, come on, man, I should remember that. So I think there'll be some, man, I don't know when that's coming either. I don't even see it in here. Maybe it's, oh, there we go, 2025, the Red Guardian. So Florence Pugh's in there. I guess Taskmaster will be in there, or if she's going to be Taskmaster anymore. It's kind of really a repeat, extension. So there you go, Hannah John Kamen. I guess she's playing the same character. She was in Ant-Man 2. Wyatt Russell, so he's the... Oh wow, Geraldine Viswanathan, who we loved from... Miracle Workers is going to be in it. But not really any of the super young folk that were, other than Florence Pugh is not really that young. But so none of, like Kate Bishop or any of those, which I was hoping, well, who knows? That's what's been announced. You never know with those things. But, and maybe that'll set up the Young Avengers as well. But I don't know. I don't know what's happening anymore. I don't know that that was even really happening or just wishful thinking. But I would just like to, you know, see the characters, and I really would like to see what happened. I really liked Jonathan Majors in Loki 2, Season 2. I know people didn't like his nerdy character, but I like seeing how he evolved there in that series, which is cool. But I also loved all the Kangs at the end of, oh man, that's a bummer. All the Kangs at the end of Ant-Man Quantumania, which, you know, had its issues as well. They all are not great. We'll see what happens. We still have not seen Deadpool and Wolverine yet. It was coming out right before we left, or after we left for Gen Con. And so we were gonna try to see it when we got back, and then got sick. And it was playing at the Chinese, which is kind of where we go see those movies. Often anyway. We didn't see, I don't think we've been for a little while though. We definitely saw Black Widow there. And Spider-Man, I think. But none of the other ones didn't happen. I mean, we saw, oh, that needs to be cleaned. It's got soap in it. We did see Guardians 3 at the local theater that was playing it actually in 3D IMAX, which is fine. I mean, I like the 3D shows for the most part. That one was frustrating though, because the staff could care less, and they gave us the wrong glasses. So we're watching the movie, and finally I'm just like, I'm trying to make heads or tails of what's going on, and I realize, first of all, my first realization should be that we are unbagging those glasses, which they don't do that for the IMAX ones, at least at the location, you know, unless you're getting brand new glasses maybe. They had given us the real 3D ones, and so I went out. We were 5-10 minutes into the movie, and I realized what was going on, so I went and complained and got new glasses. But they just did not care. And it was like, I think the guy who was there was maybe covering somebody for a break, but still, like, come on. Everybody should know how it works. And they weren't even apologetic, you know, the second team, because the guy that had helped us wasn't there anymore. So that was not a great experience. You should not be touching this. Once you paint it on, you leave it be till it dries. And it'll dry fast, so I should just be patient. But I'm not satisfied with the tone. I might be doing it too dark. I feel I have better luck if I inch up on the contrast the darkness that I want. I'll let that dry and maybe thin it out and increase it. Let me do this one. Here you go. Once again, they will not be matching, but I think I need to put a little bit more contrast medium on this. I'm not using chopsticks, so. I do want to check our Marvel United multiverse though, just to see. We've had it for, goodness, a little while. People are still getting theirs. Scott and Brian and Matthew and Anthony got theirs finally. Brian actually showed up while he was in Gen Con. And I think Scott wasn't much longer after that. It's weird. I wonder what... I know Brian was delivered on the West Coast stuff, and I'm assuming Scott must have been on the West Coast one as well. But I have been like the earliest to receive it, and my friends, the last 2 times. And I wonder why. I know alphabetically I'm lower in the alphabet than Brian, but I'm not lower in the alphabet by last name than Scott, and I definitely... Now, Scott might have a different order number. I mean, generally they do that stuff by alphabetical order. You know, they print out a pick sheet and stuff like that for the orders, and I just don't know. You know, all that stuff they box it all up in China. But we definitely had it. So we had it before Gen Con, at least a little while. We filmed. I remember Nikki and I were trying to organize and get the studio a little bit better situated, and then right before we filmed, the Marvel United showed up, I think as we were filming, or actually the day after we filmed, as I think what was happening. I think Brian was here, and we were doing his game. Ghost Fighting Treasure Hunters. And we were excited because, you know, he wanted to see it. He was waiting and wondering when he was going to get his. So that was at least a week before we left, I think. Her forehead's now very dark. Terrible. I mean, you know, there's a lot of backers for that those Kickstarters, so that's why it takes so long to fulfill. Her forehead keeps drying so quickly. And then this one I was able to go back into another coat, which I shouldn't have. Oh, that's right. I actually thinned hers down too, so. So in looking back at all the minis though, I had kind of forgotten about how I did a pretty good job on a lot of them. So, you know, because I was putting them back in I really needed room, and I had them all out and they were just collecting dust, so I decided to put them back in their boxes for now. I'm not sure that that's going to be the end result for the storage. Wow, this is bad. It's trying to touch her, and it's... Goodness. Probably too soon on that one. Too soon. Oh, I didn't finish her hands. And I got stuff on her jacket. Boo. Shirt. So GameNight Workshop used to have a line think it was called Inquisitor. I think it was more of a role-playing game. But what they did is they had larger minis. I think I have a couple of those minis. I don't know if I got, you know, I don't know if it was a Black Library or whatever they called it at the time game or not. But, you know, they were metal minis, but they were kind of exciting because they were larger scale. And I would love to try to, I should dig them up and see. I mean, you know, they're going to be different than the stuff nowadays because they are cast, you know, in metal, and I don't know how great they would be as far as detail quality, but I definitely want to try them out. And I would love to paint more, some larger 40K stuff, you know, or fantasy. I don't know that they would do that again. That's kind of the skin tone she has. I would like to, in the photo. Gosh, that looks great. Her face is awesome. She has a blue hoodie. So much blue and red in these minis. But I will do the hair. So I am going to use the Gore-Grunta fur. It is pretty awesome. And we'll see how that goes. I might creep up on that one as well. I really like the sculpt of her hair, so I'm hoping that comes out neat. I often will do like a, maybe I'll do that. Like a little bit of a wider, actually really what I should be doing is dry brushing her hair. The problem is I should do that. I never really, well, I did it. I did it on this one. So here's my challenge. On these two minis, this one is just nice. But her hair, America's hair is way more intense. And it might be enough if I especially bring the intensity up, starting with a thinned out version, a more reduced intensity version of the paint. So I will try that. Where were we when? I guess we were in Dallas when they announced that Robert Downey Jr. was going to, because I remember Scott saying, oh, hey, look, we were at the offices, BGG offices, which is interesting. I mean, as I said earlier, I'm intrigued to see what Marvel does with it. I had that varnish, the medium not sealed right next to it here. That's a bad idea. You definitely need to have, number one, have it in the little holder. You can't see anything here, but I have one of the Games Workshop holders, and they're pretty good. I especially love because this is very big. Well, you know, 3 inches on each edge, sort of, big rounded part. So I did, and I can always come back in and do the highlight afterward, and then do another coat of the brown. I have been agonizing over buying. I really should not buy them. The Army Painter War Paints Fanatic, a set of it. I want to buy like the 10. I want to buy the 10 one, but then I'm like, well, I probably should get 20, and it just keeps escalating. And you know, if you buy the whole set, which I'm not even sure is available anymore. Adam Smasher was telling me, Tabletop Minions was saying that they were limited. Which is a bummer, but I understand it. It is a lot of paints. I can't even remember how many paints it are. It is a lot, maybe 300 or something, or 260, I don't know. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's 2 something. 216, that might be what it is. But that's a lot of paints. And it would be cool to have all of them, but the reality is they're all triads. They're like 6 of each color range, right, from light to dark. That's way more paint than I need. I'm actually able to mix them and do that kind of stuff. So we'll see. I definitely just keep holding off. So this is probably the right level of brown. Oops. I should be putting this in a holder. I have generally not very oily skin, but you really don't want to handle it a lot when you're painting. But yeah, I keep looking and thinking, and I really should just bite the bullet and buy a 10-pack, just so I have some of their colors. I can see how they work. I definitely need regular acrylics. I talk about it all the time. I have some, and they're fine, but they are old. The ones that I mostly use of standard acrylics are HMG is the manufacturer, and they used to do GW paints back in the day, and then they did them again after, because for a while there in the late 90s, early 2000s, their paints were manufactured in France, and I do not know who that manufacturer was. I really do wish they still made paints, because I would love to have that whole, some of those, like their metallics, I really loved back in that. I mean, it all could be just from my memory, right, that they're really not that great. But I would like to get those metallics again, particularly the Mithril and the Shining Gold. Oh my gosh, my 2 favorite metallics. Anyway, but these ones I have were made for a Swedish company, I think. And they are still around, but they are not. I can't remember. Cell was, I think, was the name. I think they still do some stuff, but not any of that. I mean, I think I probably bought these as they were going away. I don't know. I don't remember. I just knew that they were made by HMG, and I was like, oh, I want those. And I believe they were made by HMG. Let me look. They're made in the UK. If they're made in the UK, most likely made in Britain. Cell Entertainment. Yeah, I have no idea. They were nitro, and the paints are fine. They're still living. They're in the old style bottles, which I really liked. GW's old style bottles. Coat to Arms also uses that. I'll show you one of theirs. I have a few of those, and then P3, if they're still in existence. Yeah, see, manufactured by HMG. So I liked those paints. And you know, Formula P3 was fine. This was, like, in my mind, kind of their Shining Gold. But it was that's the other manufacturer. The Shining Gold I loved was the one from, France. I don't know who that manufacturer was. I've done some research trying to find it. And there's been some great coverage. Stolly does coverage of stuff. I don't know how long he's been painting minis, but for a while. And he has delved into some of the history and like where the stuff's made and things like that. Yeah, this might just be the right intensity and just keep building it up from this. Her hair is a little... I might even actually thin it out more and build it up that way so that it doesn't kill the highlights. But like I said, I can always go back and, you know, there's such a great detail on this. I could actually come in and just with the edge of my brush and a very light amount of paint, come and highlight it and then do another, once I've got the close to the brown level that I want, and then I can pop up the highlights again. You can't really see it yet because it's still wet, but it looks pretty great. I always pick minis that... Wow. Thanks so much for the raid, Zambies. What were you guys painting over? What were you painting over there? I'm working on my Marvel United. Right now I'm doing America Chavez. Finally getting towards the end of my Wave 1. But thanks for raiding. A lot of people. Yeah, I'm finally getting towards the end of my Wave 1 minis, so I'm pretty excited because I almost want to just skip the X-Men ones and go to the multiverse ones, but I think I'm going to try to do them all in order. I have painted the 10 from the main box of the X-Men one, and that's it. I was working on your Resin Beast. Oh, wow. Painting language from, oh, Creature Caster. See, I would love to do a bust. I was just talking about wanting to do, I would love to do the Inquisitor, I think was what it was called, minis from back in the day from GW that were larger scale. They were only, I don't remember, 54 or something like that maybe. And I have a couple of those, but I would love to paint some larger scale stuff. I'm not sure that a bust is really up my alley yet. I mean, I do have some giant Marvel United stuff coming to paint, but I would love to do some larger stuff. And, you know, use some more traditional techniques. I mean, I'm mostly doing on these the zenithal kind of, it's not really the slap chop, but it is. I mean, they're all kind of the same thing. I used to use the zenithal to help do my shading when I kind of figured that out. And when I saw Adam on a stream in 2020, we had a convention, a virtual convention in 2020, we had him paint each of the days, I believe. And he was doing we sent him some Marvel United to do, and he was doing it this method. I'm like, oh, duh, this is what I should be doing. And it really is great, and it's quick, and it helps people get their minis painted. I was saying yesterday I primed, definitely would be good to practice like blending and stuff like that. That's what's great about these though. I mean, you know, when you're doing the Marvel stuff, here's what one of my very first minis compared to these. I mean, you know, you've got a lot of surface to really work on stuff, and it's actually pretty amazing. And you know, these are larger scale now too, right? So kind of heroic. But I really love painting the faces on these larger ones. I had a really fantastic time on MODOK, which is even bigger, a bigger face, which was amazing. So maybe I do want to do a bust. No worries, take care, have a good one. Blood sugar's low, well, that'll be me soon. I definitely will, looking forward to lunch. We are going to film some stuff this afternoon. Hey, Gatecrasher Minis, thanks for the follow. But I think this method is, you know, it's not a challenge. There's multiple ways to get your undercoating. I've not done rattle can yet. I've painted rattle can primed ones. I did one of Scott's 2 years ago. And I painted these Warhammer Underworlds minis with rattle can, just white. It was the gray sear undercoating that they have. And it was great. They work fine. You know, these minis are very organic, so there's lots of crevices for the paint to settle in, for the contrast paints. But it's just, I think the shading, I mean, it's a trick. You got to learn to somehow do the shading where you brighten the intensity towards the top. And I've done, this miniature here was all, well, her face is not. I'm still not done with it. I need to finish it off. And I'm not real happy because, you know, I did fine on this one, but I have real problems with light paints. But I'll finish this one up. But I did that one all dry brushing. I also did the Iron Man that way. I don't have that one out. But I did that one with a different method where I was trying to do dry brush metallics from dark to light. And that worked pretty good. But yeah, as I say, I haven't done a real rattle can zenithal, which basically I think I would have to just do it with two colors, a black and a white. GW did send me their, goodness gracious, this is a bad angle. Their recent new white at the time. This was like almost 2 years ago, I think. And I just haven't used it yet. I probably should. I don't know how long that stuff can sit on the shelf. But I would like to get it actually, the reason why I haven't even done it is I would like to get a decent black. And so I don't know what I'll buy. I had no problem with the gray sear. I was actually very impressed with it as a spray can paint because maybe I had never used, that's not true, I've used testers. But I hadn't used many model miniature oriented paints as a spray. And wow, her hair looks nice when it dries. We'll see here. Do black, white zenithal, but I'm also brown and white sometimes depending. Yeah, that makes sense. I have done, I tried a yellow with a pink underneath to do, was that right? No, white with a pink undercoating. Then I put yellow on top of it to do the brown, and it was amazing. Oops, let her fall down. I would love to try more of that. I mean, I can airbrush anything, right? That's what's great. I don't have to have rattle cans of those colors. But yeah, Scott did his, I painted his Nebula, and it was just black and white zenithal, and it looked good, really good. It was, you know, I don't know what paints he used. This was all during the pandemic. Well, a lot of that stuff was hard to get. And so I think he might have used Rust-Oleum, you know, one of their ones that people recommend. And so it was a little grainy on the white, which I really appreciate. I mean, these two were ones I airbrushed over the last few days, part of the ones I'd done. And I really like the smooth transition of the white, or the grays to white and all that. But I've done some, like I said, I did the Iron Man with the dry brush method, and it was amazing. It's my favorite version of the ones I've done so far. It's just very different. It's the one I'm keeping. I mean, it's my favorite, but I generally give the better paint job to the other people because I know how I can do these. It's not that hard, and I can, you know, I'm doing a decent enough job on all of them, so none of them are terrible. The only one I was disappointed with so far when doing two is the Adam Warlock. And I think neither of them are really better than the other. They're just slightly different. I really like that technique, and I think this one turned out great as well. I'm just not happy with her face. It was very, very sandpapery looking, and so I just decided I just did a coat, and it's too much working of the white. It's my problem with light colors. If you use one with a little bit of color in it, you're better off, which is what I have been doing since I painted that. I think almost always using a gray or a pale flesh tone or something like that. But this is where I would like to get more standard acrylics. I have a lot of different whites because that's always the one I have trouble with. My favorite now is basically the Monument Hobbies one, Pro Acryl. It's very good. But still, white. I have real problems with straight white. And I think I don't thin it enough is really what it comes down to, and then I tend to work it too much trying to smooth things out, and it's just bad. Hey, you did get your Marvel. Fantastic. What did you go in for, Nick? Wow, I wonder why Nick only just got his now. Maybe because you didn't back all of it? Maybe they did the all-ins first or something. I still was way early. I was way early. Not as early as folks in Asia and stuff, but spray cans are always speckly. Yeah, gotta airbrush. Okay, Gate Crasher. UK, I don't think the UK doesn't really have a good cheap spray paint. That's why GW and Color Forge exist. But honestly, Rust-Oleum 2 times flat or camo paints are great. Interesting. Thanks so much. I mean, I would love to try some of the Color Forge stuff. I've seen, like, they have that campaign, but they're not shipping in the United States. I'm sure the campaign's over now, but they had a bunch of content creators do their own colors, which was awesome. And I would love to try some of the, because, you know, if you start with the right undercoat, you can really save yourself all kinds of trouble painting. I did, actually, I painted some Warhammer Age of Sigmar minis when I was in Germany, and our friend Sebastian primed them gold. I'd never primed anything gold. They were, you know, of course, Stormcast Eternals, and they turned out really neat. And, you know, you can get the GW stuff here, but, and that was what I think he used. I think he used a Retributor Gold. I just got paint on her glove. And it was great. I mean, I've done some, as I say, some airbrushing of different colors myself, but I have a bunch of primers too. Multiple colors, metallics and things like that. I buy, the ones I have used a lot, I've not really tried any other airbrush primers, although I would like to try some of the other ones. I have mostly Stynylrez, a bunch of the Stynylrez colors, and I like them. I haven't used them all yet, but I've used a lot of them. But I have these giant bottles of the 16-ounce bottles of the black, white, and gray, and holy cow, they're just taking forever. I don't, you know, I use so little paint. You really save money if you go with an airbrush in the long run. If you're going to do lots of stuff, it's not something I feel you should buy right off the bat, but if you enjoy painting minis, you can get some pretty fantastic results, and you can spray pretty much whenever you want. If you have a booth, I watch Barbados Rex, does a lot of, covers a lot of gear. He doesn't paint much. I don't think I've ever seen him painting on, other than painting an undercoat that he airbrushes. But he has a spray booth in his basement with like filters and stuff to be able to make it work, where he doesn't wear a mask. I have a spray booth behind me here that I vent outside. But man, I think in the end you will definitely save money, because the paints last forever. Those bottles were like $20-something maybe, and that's the cost of one can of like the Games Workshop stuff anyway. I don't know if Army Painter has improved their rattle can stuff. I've never bought any of it. I've heard they were only okay before, but now with all their upgrades to their paint lines, they might have changed that. But yeah, you can go really far with your paint. Now, I'm not painting armies. This is where you, not to say that you wouldn't save money still, but man, you're priming a lot of stuff. I have painted armies, and I have airbrushed the base coats on them forever. I used to use black paint. I didn't ever really see until 10 years ago any kind of airbrush primers, and they're definitely better than using just black paint. Now, again, my skin is not particularly oily or anything, and so I have pretty good luck with it. I didn't really have it come off, and that may come from I'm just not I don't overwork the paint necessarily, blending and things like that, which is not a bad thing, obviously, but that may be why I haven't had the problems with the paint lifting off, the primer lifting off. Hey Christian, how you doing? Just the base game and stretch goals. That's really a lot of stuff, dude. It's insane. Well, plus when doing that, you get Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which is 2 fantastic minis. He needs the vents because he paints enamel and lacquer. I don't vent for acrylic. Yeah, I do because I don't want it. I don't know though, does he does paint a lot of spoons, but he doesn't vent. He has like a filter on the end of his, he also uses that wet spray booth that catches the paint, and so you have even less overspray. But yeah, he does paint a lot of spoons. But it's great, you see like the way some of that stuff works, and I've been knocked out by some of the colors, the quality of paints he's been getting. But he does do a lot of lacquers, but he does also enamels. But I just don't want getting on things, and I've been airbrushing in the studio during the summer. It is hot. Ugh, I just got it on her earring. And wow, I really made a mess there. Another brush. Although I can just paint some gray over that, but yipes. Now that did it. So the paint had already dried on her skin tones, so I just got a little bit on the earring, and it's easy to fix. I've shown you already, like you just put a little bit of gray and you'll never really see it. Now let me let that dry because I just put a bunch of water in there, but I'll let that dry up and then finish the brown there. I do like the airbrushing though. I think I love the end result. I do get I've had some speckly kind of results which have been frustrating. I think I need to rinse the water here. Those minis are huge. There's also, I think you get in that set too, you get the, I can't remember the name of the character, but she's like on a house or something. Stature, I think her name is. I don't know anything about that character. You know what, I painted gray on there. And it's a warmer gray, so that's probably why that is the way it does. I'll let that dry in there. Nick, that's the right price to pay too. $100 plus shipping or whatever it is for that pledge level is pretty phenomenal. I mean, it's a lot of minis, because I think it's like 50 something minis, maybe more, 60 in the stretch goals box for that one. It's crazy how much they've increased. Like, the first wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 expansions, all at like 5 or 4 minis. So That's 30 plus 40 something, I think, in the main box. 50. So 80. I think it was near 100, and that each of the ones has been more than 100 since then, which is just too much. It's fun to paint them, and I love them, but do we really need that many of them? I was talking to Matthew, my friend Matthew, and he said he didn't. He just said I can't justify having so many minis, you know, that he really won't play, and he's 100% correct. I was doubtful that I would go for the DC, and I ended up going all in. And maybe that'll be it. We'll see. I kind of hope so, because I really don't need any more minis. But I have been completely impressed with them. I mean, these first wave ones are phenomenal. I think that Big Child is doing an amazing job. Amazing job. And they're worth getting. I just hope I mean, you know what they'll do, and if they do, I'll be happy. But if they do Star Wars, I'll be all over that. Come on, focus. So I'm going to use this same brown on her eyebrows. And eyelashes. It's not really dark enough. You know, I have those metallics too. I think I'm going to use them. I did get the speed paint metallics. I'll probably use it on the earrings and see how they turn out. The little bit I've used them, I've been really happy with them. I think I want her hair a little darker. It's very close in tone to her skin, or close, but what brand of paints is good to start? Well, I mostly use, for this stuff, I've been using, this is Christian asking, you get more enjoyment out of it than the game, so it's, yeah, 100% time roller. He's saying that I get more enjoyment out of the minis than I do of the game, which I love the game, by the way, it's fun, but you don't need all this stuff to play the game. So I was talking about it a little bit earlier. I've been thinking about, it depends on what you want to do. If you're going to do GW doesn't have a lot of kits of color, and their paints are great, but I've been dipping my toes into the Army Painter Speed Paints Wave 2. I said recently I had painted using the Wave, the 1.0 formulation of the speed paints, which did not have any troubles with for me. I still have them out here. So I painted with these. This orange is the first phase of this orange. This is 2.0. I have not used this yet, so I don't know exactly how it looks. We were trying to buy it at Spiel last year, and they wouldn't sell it to us. because it was a distributor. They were like showing the rack. I was confused by the whole thing. But anyway, Sebastian kept pressuring them, and they finally gave him some paintbrushes or a paintbrush and red. But we really wanted orange because we didn't have any. Nobody had any orange. But we visited some people that we went to a paint day that Sebastian had organized, and some people were there, and the lady had a bunch of the Army Painter paints, and I used that orange as much as I could till she needed it, and I was really impressed with it. So they have plenty of kits. They have starter kits of the speed paints at about $40, I guess, with 10 colors, 10 or 11. It's a good level to go at. You can mix the paints. That's the one thing that you don't think you need to do that, but you can. They work. Some of them work better than others. Some of the paints are single pigment paints, which give you better results. But like, I have never had terrible results on the I've never had terrible results mixing contrast paints. I really like the contrast paints. They cost, in the United States anyway, about $8 a bottle, which seems like a lot, but I will tell you, they last a long time as long as you don't spill them. And it's the same size of paint in the as the other bottles. So this bottle and this bottle are the same amount of paint, 18 milliliters. These are about $4 or $5, and these are about $8. So your choice. I have used the pink. I've used some of the metallic and the metallics are something contrast paints do not do. So if you were to buy like one of those kits of the speed paints, the new ones would probably give you a little bit. Wow, I did not get her hair down in there. They would probably give you a metallic as well, and I really like their metallics, the speed paint metallics. They are not as fantastic as a speed paint, but they're close, and they really do look different based on your undercoating, which is great. So I think either one of them is a great choice. So that's speed paints, right? You can also, the Army Painter has their new Fanatics, War Paints Fanatic, and I have not used them. I was saying how I would like to try to buy, I really just need to buy a 10 paint set and just go with it and not worry about it. I get, I'm always like, well, then I'm probably going to need this color, and here's the deal. If you wanted to buy the full set of those things, it's, if they even have that anymore, it's $700 something, $760 or $70. That's just too much, especially if you don't know what you're going to do. And they do come in sets of 6 colors, meaning they have what they call triads. And so they have 6 sets of paint, and you can make 5 triads out of that. Is that right? Or 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 2, 3. It's 4. You can make 4. I should know this, but you can make 4 sets. Now that's great if you're painting, and it means you don't have to do any mixing to do the shading. You just use one of the next steps up to do that, which is awesome. I've never used them. I don't have any other triads, but they seem exciting. So I would say, one of those, I really like the contrast paints, and I like the speed paints. I really like, so what I'm doing is I prime the minis. Let me pull one out that's not painted. Well, you can see it here. I painted this black with an airbrush, and then I painted the gray at a 45-degree angle, and then I paint white directly down. You can do that with a rattle can of paint, or you can dry brush. Dry brush is an easy way to get started, and you don't have to spend a lot. So the way dry brushing works is you would just paint the mini black, and then you would use a brush that's not. So what I've used many times, let me pull it out if I can find it here. I haven't used them in a little while. Goodness gracious, what did I do with them? I found all these sprues of stuff I was looking for, and I haven't put them in a good spot yet. Probably destroying paint. Aye, everything coming down here. Are they in here? I think they're in a cup. Why am I not seeing them? I've moved stuff around recently, and I do not know what I did. Should be like right here. Oh, you know what? Those were moved because, anyway, what I've used is makeup brushes. Gosh, what's her name?
Elf.
Yeah, Elf brand, but the lady that introduced me to them, Terry Latorco, told me about them when we talked one time, and then she did a video with somebody where they discussed it, and it was great. They really work well. They're not expensive, $4 or $5 maximum probably. And then you just build up, you get the brush wet with paint, and then you brush it off till there's almost nothing left. And you can test it on something to see how much it's letting on there. And you just brush it, and you build it up from the top down so that you have the intent, the brightness at the top, dark at the bottom, and then it gives you those shadows. So like if you look, this is not a great one that I painted, but if you look here, he's very dark underneath, but he's bright on top. You do that with a dry brush, and then you just put these contrast paints over them, and you already have the shading essentially going already. You can do more. Like I have done some work on his glasses, right, where I highlighted the top edge and then did some reflection on the lenses. I did on her, I painted her eyes underneath the visor, right? So you can do that kind of stuff and build it up, and that's a mix of both contrast paints and standard paints. And then you get these pretty great results. I mean, this is just 2 colors so far, and she looks great. So I think a set of 10 would get you started, and then maybe some standard white and some standard black paints, acrylics, to do the undercoating. And it's probably best to use a primer. Vallejo makes supposedly some great primers. Monument makes some great primers. I have not used any of them. I've only used, let me see if I've actually moved it all into, I was so excited that I thought, why don't I just store it where the spray booth is? So here's the smaller bottles. I don't even think this is the smallest size. No, this is 4 ounce. This might be as small as it gets. This is a primer. Now this is a metal primer, which I don't think I've even ever used this one. It's like one of those things where I gotta get it, and then I've never used it. But I really like their paints. I have the 16 ounce bottles here. This one's messy, but I've used it a lot. I actually need to refill, so I might as well pull it out. Oh no, it's black I need to use. This is 16 ounces. This is lasting me forever. I am at this point right here of this bottle that I've used so far. So I probably used, not even 4 ounces. In all the painting I've done, like I've done hundreds of minis now, since I bought those. So you don't have to buy a lot to get started. Do they call it speed paint because it dries fast? No, they call it speed paint because that is the, I'm sorry, I didn't explain that. They call it speed paint because it's a technique. These are Army Painter paints. So the Citadel color are from Games Workshop, and the Army Painter are another company from Sweden. That's weird. Oh, that's a skin. So they're both great. I definitely recommend using a name brand. All the most recent, because there's some inexpensive stuff that's trying. I mean, here's what's really happening: is they're all getting great. All the paints are getting better and better because, they kind of have to keep up with the other companies doing that stuff. One thing I will say that I really like that you may hear now is these speed paints include 2 mixing balls inside the paint. I add mixing balls. There's one in here to everything I buy now. What I've been buying, because I'm nervous about stainless steel. Some of them I don't necessarily believe are stainless steel. These are from Monument Hobbies. They are a glass. They're laboratory grade glass, so they're not going to rust. So these have been great. They're not terribly expensive, maybe $2 for 20 or something like that, or 50. I think it might be 50. So I bought like 5 sets, and I've used them a lot. And then, you know, you just wash them off and use them again. You only need so many. You can also buy, so I bought these 2 back in the day. Stainless steel shakers. These are bigger. One of the things you have to think about though is it might clog, especially these. It could get clogged in here, and you could squish it and squeeze out, push the whole cap off and paint everywhere. What I tend to do nowadays is I try to make sure I poke a paper clip into it to make sure that it doesn't, it's already coming out, so it's not a problem. But you can see it's pretty great looking gold. I do not need much of this, so I will probably put 1 drop in here. But you just don't want it to, you don't want to press hard to get the paint out. If you're pressing hard, there's something wrong, and stop doing it and get, make sure you poke through the nozzle. Now the great thing about these is they're not going to spill when you knock them over. Maybe a little bit when you knock them over. These you spill. I have spilled 2 bottles. One of them was this. This is my second bottle of this one, and I did use it up, and I didn't ruin this one. Like, this one actually still worked when I caught it and picked it up and, you know, cleaned up my mess. This one here, I have 2 bottles of this one now. You can see what's going on here. This one here has white pigment or gray pigment in the bottom of this gray bottle. This has nothing. There's still a lot of paint in here. I spilled this one. I do not know what happened. So it lost all the pigment. So I'm not even sure how that's possible. Maybe I did a great job of mixing it, and I have no idea. But I can still use this. It's now essentially a shade, but this is to get the contrast or speed paint technique quality. You need to have, you need to have that. It has pigment in there. Some of them, like this red that I love, right here, isn't really. It's a great paint, but it's not really a speed paint. It doesn't settle in to do like what this does. So when this blue settles in, it settles into the cracks and gives you the different shades. You get that with these speed paints, but it's not quite the same with this one. I'm sorry, I keep saying speed paint on this. This is Citadel Color Contrast. This is a single pigment. Some of these other ones have multiple colors of pigment in it, so when it settles, it gives you more of a gradation of color. This is still phenomenal. It still looks pretty great, as I was showing you Daredevil here. That was because I had airbrushed him well, so he has brighter surfaces and darker surfaces, right? You know, as you see it here. This was Zenithal highlighted. And you know, I used, I have not varnished him yet. I haven't finished his eyes. And you can see, this is this. For whatever reason, this one that spilled, it's kind of shiny. Now I'll put on a matte varnish on it, but it is weird. I really don't know what happened, but yeah, you got to be careful. And that's what makes the Army Painter speed paints pretty nice, because the bottles are, you know, they're not as likely to spill any paint. They have the shakers inside of it, and they cost $4 to $5. So it's pretty great. But I love the speed paints. I mostly use speed paint. Excuse me. I keep saying speed paints. I mostly use contrast paints. I'm probably short of 10 of the whole set of colors that they offer. Because initially when I was buying them, I was buying what people were saying were not great. Now that was prior to me learning how they worked. I will explain what happened on that too. So I was really unhappy with the flesh tone. This was too dark, and I don't know what took me so long, but I realized I went to the store and they show this grade of color, and I'm like, oh, I'm not being smart here. I need to use the contrast medium. And I don't know if I had it. I think I did buy that first, but I just didn't think of it in those terms. And I just put more in, and I'm like, I got the flesh tone of like Captain America here. This is the same color. It's this color, just thinned down. Not thinned, but reduced in intensity with the contrast medium, because the paint has still got the same texture. As you can see there too, I had some problems with the white. It's bad. Here, this is another one. This is the same color. And then this is the same color. These are all the same flesh tone. It is a great, great paint. I do not know that Army Painter carries that. Now you can use both. Like as a matter of fact, this one here was my first use of one of the yellows from Army Painter's, the speed paints. And I really like it. But Games Workshop now has like 4 yellows that are pretty great. They only had, at least as far as I know, I didn't, as I said, I didn't buy them all, but this is the only yellow they had, and it was pretty orange, but if you thin it with, if you reduce the intensity with the contrast medium, you get a pretty good yellow. I think that's actually what was going on here. This is ironed in yellow plus a little bit of it, to give it more of an orange thing, kind of the flame thing that was going on with her hair. So yeah, you can get really great results with any of them. And I definitely don't recommend going all in on anything other than maybe 10 colors, 10 or 11 colors, maybe 20 if you really want to push it. But initial budget, wow, $200. Well, don't spend all of it on that. If you're going to spend $200, buy an airbrush in there too. Now, you have to know that you want to do it. This is an airbrush I got on Amazon, compressor. It is pretty great. It has an okay airbrush with it, but if you're undercoating, it's a fine airbrush. I'll show you the airbrush real quick. Buzz, buzz. What's going on with my phone? Something important happening? Weird. Anyway, it's not a great airbrush, but it's fine. It will do the undercoating well. Your issue is cleaning it, and there are some great videos out there on how to clean your airbrush without going too crazy. Thanks so much, Rob Doc, for the follow. This is exactly the airbrush that came with it. Has this removable reservoir. I actually got to tell you, I like these threaded caps better than ones I have that are press fit. Or I'll show you one that's press fit. I tend to have an issue with these, even though this is a nice airbrush. This was $80 or $85. It's now a little cheaper. They really polished it. This is a great one, a new company called Gallery, G-A-A-H-L-E-R-I. But you press fit this, it's friction fit. And I can't do it easily. And I'm trying, you don't want to spill the paint. I'm putting it on to keep paint from spilling out. So I generally don't use it. But for this one, I use this all the time, especially undercoating, because I'm doing lots of kind of like swinging and stuff with the spraying. But this fits on there, and then you only have this little hole here for air to come out. So, you know, to be able to suck the paint through. The way airbrush works is it creates a vacuum, pulls the paint out from the source, which is in here. In this case, my old ones, it was a siphon feed coming from below. And then it mixes with the air. Wow, this is really on there. I haven't pulled this off for a little bit. I actually should use this one again. Now, the challenge is it's not great. You can buy parts that are kind of standardized across a lot of these lower cost. And, you know, they're definitely borrowing ideas from other airbrushes. But you can clean them, and this nozzle can be replaced, but it's like not great gaskets, it's not great milling, but it's fine. It does a good job for undercoating. You can even do some decent detail if you were going to paint that. I generally don't do that kind of stuff on miniatures. I'm an experienced airbrush painter. That was what I did a lot in high school and college. My parents bought me an airbrush early. Boy, I got brown everywhere. But this one works. Now, I think this came with this. Oops. See, that's one of the problems with these. I don't think they're okay. This is a quick release set. One of the kits I bought actually has the quick release part for the hose. This is the quick release thing. So this is only if you're gonna, really important if you're gonna do multiple airbrushes, but it's easy to pull it off and switch. One of the things I tend to do is soak the bottle in a ramekin, the airbrush in a ramekin when I'm done, so that I can clean it without having, it will help keep the paint from drying up, and you can do a good job of cleaning it. One of the things you can do then, once you get, I'm trying to pull that off, it's not friction fit. Wow, oh no, that's something else. I think it's the same piece of something, tissue, that keeps hanging on everything. It must be adhesive. Anyway, to clean this, you just put water into it. I use these bottles. But what's great is about this, I started to explain this. I got this and this for about $65. I think they're around 75. On sale, they're about 60. It comes with a hose, everything, lots of little accessories. I don't think it came with one of these, but I do believe it came with the quick release. But you don't need it. It's not necessary. I'm using a Badger airbrush hose here, so you'll notice it's got a much smaller connection than, oh wow, there's a lot of paint on there too. It's a smaller connection than these type here. I'll show you, well, actually you can see it right here. This is the standard, well, a standard connection for airbrushes. The Badger ones have a tiny one, almost the size of this. So it's very, I'm sorry, almost the size of this. It's very small. I like these bigger ones better, but Badger doesn't make them. I think they maybe make one for one other brand. I think they maybe make Rapers and they have that type of connector on it. I just like them because here's the other thing. That size is standard. You can buy an adapter like this for the Badger style ones and it will connect to this. But this connection here is much, much more standard. Like hoses have this on most of them. Even Badger's later hoses, use this type of connector on the hose itself. Anyway, I would say spend more money on an airbrush, but if you're just starting out, this is an expensive way to get in, and you can prime minis very quickly, and then you can determine if you really like it, and then if you do, you can spend some more money. You can still use this compressor. It's pretty good. The charge, you charge with USB-C. I have gotten like an hour and a half of airbrushing out of this. It gets warm when you use it that way. I actually have put this in my pocket and airbrushed outside. And I have used it in here. I think that kind of method is as a matter of fact, here's the other hose. So this has a different, this is the hose with that one, and this is the hose that came with that airbrush. So it has a larger connector. And this is another brand of Mac valve slash quick release setup, quick disconnect they call it. So yeah, these are two different ones. I think this one here was the Badger one, smaller, which is actually probably better for me because it's not quite as heavy. But they're both fine. You don't need that. That's a thing for if you start to get more than one airbrush. But you can buy that kit and you can prime. Definitely thin your paint before you spray. Gosh dang the phone. One of the things I use, which is not over here, is airbrush thinner. I put a couple drops of it in, here it is. I put a couple drops into the reservoir before putting into this cup, before putting paint in, then I mix them. And what you do is you spray here with your finger over the end and it will bubble. Don't press hard, just enough, start light and then keep pressing on it as you pull back. You push down on the trigger, that gets you paint, pull back, gets you air, and then it starts to bubble in the reservoir and it mixes them together. And then you can spray, and I'd spray a little bit before you put it on to make sure you're smooth. And then just spray it all black. Then spray the gray. Once that dries, then spray the gray at a 45-degree angle. Then you spray white directly from above. And that gives you the undercoating, and it's $60 to $70. So you're gonna save right there not buying rattle cans, because good rattle cans are around $20. And then, and then you can grow, right? It's better. I have a better compressor. I have several different compressors. My mom is very good about getting me those kinds of things for like Christmas. She's bought me a compressor several times. The last one she bought me, not the latest one I have. The last one she bought me was from Iwata, and they have even a better one that actually shuts off when it's not being used. So it's the one I have, just constant. It's a Sprint Jet. It just runs until you. I actually have an even larger bottle of airbrush thinner. It runs until you shut it off. The The one I have, the one you can get, which is more expensive, Sprint Jet, I think that's the name for my water. Anyway, it also will shut off as soon as you stop the trigger, just like this one. I don't have anything on this, but so right now there's nothing. I have a MAC valve on it, so it shuts off until I use it. Let's put an airbrush on it. So it'll keep doing it till there's, so it'll constantly, when I spray, it goes. That's how the Sprint Jet works. I will say, it's sometimes annoying to me. that, and I actually don't mind the compressor going all the time, so you can save money and maybe just get one that later if you go for something. But this is great. It's a great little compressor. It's reasonable amount of pressure. For airbrushing, it's fine. Yes, it'd be better to have more control. But I do have some control because I have this adjuster. This will increase or decrease the amount of pressure. Hey, Allah 1984, APHR, AFR. Thanks for the follow. This increases and decreases the amount of pressure that you're getting. You're only ever going to get about 20-something PSI. I think they claim 30, but you don't get it out of this compressor. But depending on how your paint's thinned, you can go pretty far with this stuff and not stress, right? You can do a lot of, especially for undercoating, right? Like you want more pressure to get the paint out. Hey, Big Apples D77, thanks for the follow. You definitely want more. You want more pressure for the primer. It's a thicker paint, but you can do pretty great stuff with it. And you spend something like that for that. Then you get a set of paints for $40 or so. And you know, if you buy those ones from Army Painter, those sets, they give you a paintbrush. It's an okay paintbrush. As a matter of fact, I'm using one right here. I think this is the Precise Detail one that maybe comes with it. Came with one of the sets I got. They sometimes give you a mini in there, which if you want to practice with that. But the reality is you probably have lots of games with minis that would be cool to paint them. And so you can do them, oops, I'm sorry, not in the shot. You can do them that, you know, you can paint tons of stuff. Heck, you can probably get some inexpensive army, you know, like Green Army men that you can paint if you wanted to. That gold looks pretty good now. I got a little bit on her cheek. Not so good there. Wow, that stuff's intense. I think I'm too late on that. So let's do a little bit of flesh tone there just to cover it up. So it's starting to gel. Once the paint's starting to gel, it is done. You can thin it a little bit. I have done that with when I was putting the contrast paints in a palette. I'm putting her flesh tone, the paint hair tone on her flesh. It's hard to tell when you're painting like what you've missed because like the shine kind of restricts your view of what's left that you haven't painted brown, you know, the color on. So it's tough. That looks cool though. I definitely like that paint. It's not, I think I need to use an opaque tone to reduce that. It doesn't matter. It's under her hair. So let's do the next one, earrings. I really do like these metallics. Again, do you keep track somewhere of how much of the paint contrast to get tones you want, or memorize it, wing it, memorize it? So I definitely wing it. I will, I do have some things where it's like I do 2 drops of something, of one and one of the other. That's often a ratio that I might do for the technical medium. But if you've noticed here, I've actually gone the other way. I put more of the main color in, and I actually tried to remember, I don't have it built in yet, to put the contrast medium first. Put that in first, then the color. That's how I like to do it. That's how I prefer to do it, but I don't always remember to do it. And then I just go from there. I build it up. I don't worry too much about, I'm not painting the same mini, obviously I'm painting the same mini right now, but generally I don't worry about the tones. I pick it for each miniature that I do, and then see how it looks. I mean, I have experience painting. I used to paint oil paintings and acrylic paintings, and I've airbrushed for a long time, since I was a teenager. Wow, I really am getting it on her skin both times now. Now again, you don't need to paint what you can't see. I go in there and get a little bit of it, you know, but it's not real critical because it's not going to be visible. Just the tiniest amount. Like I was trying to get the back end of the loop over there, and I got it okay. I do like to have some small brushes. These are fine. These ones from, I've noticed a bit of hair that didn't get painted. Now I'm not seeing where it was. I actually prefer mostly to use synthetic, although I do have some fantastic sable brushes. Again, that's another thing you can save on, Christian, is if you don't buy sable brushes, especially when you start. Just get Golden Taklon. So the ones I bought like these packs, school supplies or something. I can't remember. I can look it up. I bought these packs of 6 brushes, and I just was trying them in different sizes, and they were like $10 a bag or something like that. That's not bad. I also bought I bought these. They're really great considering what they cost. For as little as $26 or $25 on Amazon, and up to about almost $40 on eBay. These are Golden Taklon. They're these brushes. This is actually one of my favorite sizes, the 4. You can get great detail with these. This is a 2. They have a great point. As long as you have a point, you can paint. And the nice thing about using the larger brushes, you have more paint in the body of the brush. They call it the belly. So you don't have to go back to the palette as much. But this is like 144 brushes. I don't really love the ones. These seem okay. I don't feel they're long enough, and they're not narrow enough. But they do an okay job. But I feel with like the 3, 4, 5, and 6 are pretty awesome, especially for $25 for 144 brushes. So you don't have to sweat it. You can beat them up. Then you can use them as dry brushes. You can use them to do priming. You can do scenery with them. You can do bases. And that's inexpensive as well. So for $200, you can get pretty far. And I honestly feel if you're really wanting to do it, it's not a terrible thing to buy the compressor and the airbrush. At $50 or $60 to $50, it's probably $60 to $70 now. Actually, just let me look. What it is today, I actually got it on sale, I think, for about $60 when I did it. The downer is, of course, who knows who the manufacturer is. This was, it was hilarious because I bought this and then I saw, I think he'd done the video beforehand. Ninjon. Wow, look at that. They've got the Evolution 20. No, it's $169, but it's a great those are great airbrushes. But here you go. This is essentially the same one. That's $80 though. Let's see here. Is this who it is? The problem is, that's like I say, these are, yeah, see, look at this YY Gaiwen, right? Who knows? It looks like it's exactly the same compressor. Very similar airbrush. As a matter of fact, I would say it's the same. And that one is, there it is in red, $55 for red. I recommend the one with the hose. There's one here that you mount. You can mount it directly to the top of this, but it's good to get the hose as well. But for $35, $36, it may be the way to go. And you can buy a hose for $10. And that would make it cheaper than buying this one here. But yeah, those are $56. That's $55.19 for the red one. I like the red one just because I see it. I have real troubles with black stuff. I tend to lose it in the pile of stuff. But yeah, I don't even see the one I bought. Let me go see if I can look in my stuff I purchased, if it shows up. Gosh, it was only a year ago, February, that I bought this one. Yeah, so you see, this is the one we looked up, YYGY. It's the same one. When I pull it up, it's exactly the same one. So $56, $35. I don't know that compressor looks like it's the same. It may not support, it may not charge with USB-C. Yeah, it's different. It's okay. I'm sure it's fine. It gives you some tools, which I think some of those maybe come with. I don't know. This might be it. Hey, you do your nails without, just spray them on. Wait, you can't see all that stuff. I think it's just the hose and maybe a few accessories. I don't remember. Anyway, excuse me. But you know, I think for $200 you can go a long way. If you already have minis that you want to paint, you can really go far. The other thing, if you're interested in these Marvel United minis, these are from the stretch goals, but the base set can be had for as little as $10 to $14 on Amazon, and that includes 10 minis. I think it's really a great deal to get going, and you're painting larger minis that are more forgiving for your, learning to steady your hands, because you have to really have to hold carefully to get your hands steady. I have different kinds of miniature holders. This one does not have it, but there's a hook like on this one here. You can brace your hand and paint more easily. This was a 3D printed base that they gave on the hobby holder. It is called, man, I never remember the name. Game Envy is the name of the company now. I mean, they probably still call this the hobby holder, but it's designed to put like a standard cap on. I don't think this is the right size, no. But you put a standard bottle cap on this. That was what was really cool about it. I also have these. That was another Kickstarter, but with different handles. This is just the basic one that you put it in with cork, and then it has a smaller bow that you can brace your hand. You can also just buy these GW ones. These are the new versions of them. They don't have the hook, but it's pretty good. You can really do a good job of holding it in place and steadying your hands. With your bracing the two together, you have much more resistance to shaking. And then I honestly feel your best bet, even though I love the Games Workshop paints, is to just get a set of the speed paints for like $40 to get started. It's just cheaper, and probably, gosh dang, I'm seeing spots I missed left and right. But it's cheaper, and they're good paints, and they're more forgiving as far as spilling goes. But I will tell you, I think this is my favorite flesh tone ever. I mean, it's amazing. It does a really great job. I've never been dissatisfied with it, other than my own inability to paint some of these tones. I mean, this one looks pretty good. I guess he's pretty good here. He's still not done. I need to get better at the faces. It has always been the one thing that's a challenge for me. But I love this one. Look how she looks pretty great. I need to paint her eyes. I got a lot to paint on her, but we'll get these to these. I think I'm going to be done for the day. I do have to film. Let me see what time it is. It is nearly 1. Thanks for joining me today. I do not mind telling people how to get started. That is the whole point of these streams. Anytime you have any questions, I have all the Simon Zombicide games and expansion. Wow. That's pretty fantastic. Now, those are smaller, but those would be great. An airbrush might be better for doing a smaller miniature than using a rattle can, because you'll have more control over the highlighting. If you want to do the method I've been doing, Christian, you don't have to do my method. If you look back on YouTube, there's years of me painting now. We started painting on the streams, I think, in 2021. You can see a lot of the techniques. You can always write me on at BGG. My name is Heccubus, Heccubus. You can write me there. And if you have any questions, I might have put together a list that I could, of recommendations for some stuff if you're interested in buying specific things. I really don't. I mean, obviously you're excited to do the Zombicide stuff, so Man, you got a lot. I do have the Marvel United, the Marvel Zombicide. Marvel Zombies, I think is what they call it. I did not back it. I got those. Scott had backed some, like an extra set, and then I don't know, he didn't get it all, 2 sets of the full thing, but I was very happy to get what because I still want to paint them. I would love to have the zombie Galactus, but you know, I'm not paying for it, and I do not need another giant. We have a Cthulhu already. I don't need another giant one like that, but boy, it looks like I mean, I could probably paint Scott's. But you could do a lot. You can get a lot of stuff. And I honestly feel airbrushing, if you're just kind of new to painting, airbrushing the undercoating and learning to do the speed paint method here that I'm doing, where you just paint it and it has the shading, is tremendous. You get so much done so quickly with such high quality, in my opinion. And then you just do things like learn to do shading and stuff like that on top. So I did this. This is because I know how to shade, even though this was a very simple one. But I did this here. This would be called like a wet blend, where I started with it had already been painted gray, and this is why I know I had the contrast paint medium from the beginning. Started with the contrast medium here, and then the color here, and then blend them together to give that non-metallic metal looking kind of thing going on there. I shaded this from dark to so it was the wildwood to the Ironed Yellow to the Plague Bearer Flesh, were the 3 colors I used to make that shift in that. You can do a lot of stuff very easily and get great results quickly. And you will, painting the zombies, Marvel Zombies are smaller, but you can do it. And definitely get like at least 1 or 2 slightly larger brushes, and then you know, Nikki won't let me go to Hobby Lobby, but they have their own. I wonder if that's sitting here. I have one of their brushes, and it's very nice. I've used it. I haven't used it lately though, but it wasn't terribly expensive, and they have sales with coupons and all kinds of stuff like that. Let me see if I can track it down here. Oh, there's the cup. Why didn't I see the? Oh, there they are. So these are the dry brushes. These are the Elf. This is a large one. This is a small one. They're already shaped to do this. They're already kind of soft. I like it to be a little bit more rigid. This one's actually more rigid than this one, obviously, just because of the shorter hairs. There's also these dry brushes from Army Painter. They're like $20-something for 3 different sizes. These are fine. There are some fantastic higher end ones, but don't spend those till you know what you're doing. But yeah, you can do, wow, how did I see that? There's also these sets from, these are Uncle Adam's, this is Tabletop Minions. These are synthetic brushes that he spec'd, and they're great. I also have these here. They've changed their line. These are synthetic Kolinsky, so it's not really a sable. And then I have these that are sable, Bombwick. And I don't remember exactly when I bought these. This was definitely before the Russia invading Ukraine. It's harder to get sable now. But I don't recommend buying sable, especially if you're beginning. You're gonna poke, the thing that happens the most is your brush, you're poking it into minis, and it kind of messes up the tip right away, pretty quickly. I had one of these, I got these on eBay, Zem. I really like these. I wish they sold them they have some on Amazon, but you can see it has a curl at the tip. That's because I'm poking it into the mini, and it's resistant. It's not the way you use a brush. The way you really should be using a brush is just brushing it on, but when you're getting into stuff, you have to poke it. It's like you can't necessarily just caress the brush into the, you know, this is a very, the shape is very varied, and it makes it so that you end up doing a little bit of damage to your brushes. So lots of people tell you you can recover sables like that hook that I showed you. You can supposedly, if you use like the brush cleaner like I was showing, and you leave it overnight with the soap in it to help straighten the bristles. That works. But I've also read, and I haven't tried it yet, that I actually should do it with this one. You put these in hot water. You don't stick it all the way to the end of the ferrule here. And you put this in hot water, and it will also reshape the synthetic bristles as well. And I would do that. I would put it in hot water, then I would put it in the soap, and then just let it sit. I need to try it. But I would just dip it in, just up to like here. Do not get to this part because this is the glue, and it holds it and would just mess up your brush. So again, there's a lot of opportunity. You don't have to spend a lot. You just can spend more as you go. I'm a crazy person, and I have bought so many paints and varnishes and brushes and airbrush. I have too many airbrushes. Like I bought this one because I wanted to show like it's a great option and it's not very expensive to get started with an airbrush, because compressors are the biggest challenge. And this one's pretty quiet, and the airbrush is not bad. There are better. I would definitely recommend the next step, either like a Badger or a Iwata, which is not cheap, or I have this one here. This is a Harder Steenbeck. This is the Squidmar one, which is cool. I bought it because I was like, I like his. I don't watch his stuff as much as I used to, but I was like, I'll support it and try one of these ones, because I have a standard. I have several. I only have two. And I say that. I thought I had three. Harder Steenbecks. But they're nice airbrushes. This is a great airbrush. I would not buy the gold again. You can see here the difference, though. I don't know that you can really see it, but the cup isn't as polished as this one. The galleries are really nice, and these guys are doing the right things with their airbrushes. They are selling parts. Like, I got a new needle from them because this one actually shipped to me, had a dent, like the needle was slightly bent, and they sent me a new needle, a retail version of it, in the packing and everything. So they're going to sell, they're trying to be serious about it. This was like $120 initially, and I think it's now, and there's actually, this is the Ace Dual, and I think that the only issue was with it came with more than one needle, and I believe this is more polished, but you can get a $50 version of this airbrush, and it's pretty great. They use all the same needles, as does Harder and Steenbeck. They use the same nozzle and the same needles across their line. This is the most basic one that they sell, other than this crazy gold and black stuff. But yeah, you could get something like that later as you get better. Here's the deal. You're going to drop your airbrush. You're going to bend your needle. You're better off doing it with this, $50 airbrush and compressor. And you can buy, man, I think I did drop one of these. Actually, I didn't drop it. I lost the needle, the nozzle, the very nozzle tip. I don't think it was on this one. I was clean. I'm a crazy person. I take them apart to clean them. I don't recommend that, especially initially. But I unscrewed this because there was something weird. I think what had happened was I could see that there's a rubber washer in there that was split. So I took it off and put another gasket on there, and then lost this part. Fell on the floor in the bathroom, and we have tile floor in there. Could never find it. Have no idea where it went. So I was able to buy a new one. Because they are kind of standardized on the Chinese ones, and it worked perfectly fine. But yeah, you're better off doing that. And that was just because I bought this one. I don't think it was this one, though. I did buy another airbrush first that Barbados recommended that was like $50 with a bunch of accessories. Like, it has huge bottles that you can use on the top to, like, if you're going to spray terrain and things like that. And I was like, I'm always eager to like share stuff that might be able to save you a little bit of money to get some of the higher end technical stuff, but it's worth it. Need practice on before Dune or Cyberpunk minis. Yeah, that's for sure. You want to, but you're going to get better as you go. And here's the other thing: you can always repaint them. You can soak them. I have used. This is a newish bottle. I've had it for years now, but I don't clean many minis. This LA's totally awesome if you leave it and soak. I got this like at the dollar store. I think it was at the 99-cent store, which doesn't exist anymore. But the Dollar Tree and stuff sell it. It was $1 at the time for that big bottle. You just soak it in that overnight and then clean the heck out of it the next day because it's like soapy. Clean it very well, let it dry, and then just spray it again. And you can easily do that and get great results. So I definitely I definitely recommend it. Again, airbrushes, there's lots of videos out there to show you how to clean them. I've cleaned them on a stream before. I've forgotten to clean an airbrush on the stream before. I was very disappointed I forgot to clean my Badger 2020, and I soaked it and cleaned it up, and it seems to be perfectly fine. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Let me know if you have any questions. I try to stream once a week. We will have a very spotty schedule once we get into October and November. But then I'll be back. I will airbrush at least once a week, I hope, till we leave at the end, near the end of September. But yeah, you can write me, and you can even write in the comments, and I'll respond and give you information about it all. But I really recommend it. I think for me, it's a great hobby. Truthfully, I wish I had more time to paint. I love to paint minis, and I love the relaxation. I know it might seem like initially it may not be so relaxing because it's a little hard, but once you get into it and you understand how things work, I need to clean my brushes. I'm sorting out ones that I did not clean. I think I cleaned that one that I showed. It's over here, so yes. But you can see here that the needles, the bristles look pretty good. I let it sit. It's got a hook though. Remember, I was varnishing with this one. But it's a 30-cent airbrush, paintbrush. 30 cents. I got really great results out of most of this stuff. The one thing I wish I had more of were these smaller ones. I do have some, but I want one slightly larger than this. Very slender, but longer bristles. I need to find that that brush. Actually, I should invest in one of the non-miniature Winsor Newton ones. They're expensive, like $30, $25, but they're really great. Those are what I used exclusively when I was in school painting. My teacher was very, it was my art teacher that I had in high school. It was the one that really kind of got me on the path of doing that stuff. And he was great. He was my friend's dad. And so beyond school, I mean, I met him first in school and met his son he was a couple grades behind me. And so we met near the end of the school year. And then so when he started up, we were great friends, and I learned a lot about stuff. And he was definitely, it's great if you can get stuff on a student discount. You can still get things on a student discount, and it's probably worth it if you can track it down. Anyway, I will be back. Hey, thanks, Panda. Amanda, she wrote me. I need to write her. I wrote her a couple weeks ago. I'll be back painting probably a week from Thursday. So we'll see how far I've gotten, because that'll be the next month. Well, I said I wanted to get them done before I left, so I have some time. But I would like to try to finish all 14 of those minis that I'm started one today, but I'd like to get to that point on, wow, he looks great. The varnish is pretty good. It's not ultra dead flat like the Ultra Matte. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have some lunch. You guys take care. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for all the follows. And I don't know that we're still listed on the schedule at boardgamegeek.com/live as streaming on Thursday, but I am not sure that that's going to happen. Probably not. We have a lot of things to film, and I'm sad that we won't be able to be filming something that we were hoping to do on Thursday. That will probably happen later in September. But if we do cancel the filming on Thursday, then Nikki and I'll probably stream. Anyway, you guys take care. Have a great one. Let's see if we can raid somebody on Twitch. Anybody here that's on Twitch? Turn 50, so I need this hobby besides playing board games. Hey man, that's okay. It's fun, and you're at the age where you might appreciate slowing down and painting some minis. I really love it. I mean, I really love it. I really wish I had more time for it. So let's see here. I've been noticing problems with this, man. Like, people that we follow are not showing up. Have you guys seen? Oh, Book of Nerds is doing a retro video of retro video games. Oh, Dutch Yoda. Let's go to Dutch Yoda. Why is that not showing up? We follow them. Dutch Yoda. and one person's watching. Come on, let's raid with them. So, coffee and crowdfunding. That's not gameplay or painting. Oh, time roller. Time roller's always. Let's go find time roller. I don't get it. Why is that not number 1? Oh, you know, they have like following size. That could be something. I mean, they've changed a whole bunch of this stuff. There we go, time roller. Cool. Deep State. I've never played that game. We're gonna go raid them. Have a good one. And I hope to get to see you guys next either Thursday or maybe next. So next Tuesday we'll be for sure streaming Game Night. And then Tuesday morning, and then like this time slot, and then Thursday evening I'll be painting again. Let's go raid these folks. Say hello for me. Time Roller's very great about coming and saying hello to us. And have a great week. Let's see, it says we're gonna do it here. 2 seconds, click on if you wanna go. Thanks everybody. And thanks folks at YouTube as well. It was good to see you all. Thanks so much for joining us. And have a great week. I wish you guys could raid with us here.